Hello there. My name is Ade Ronquette, and welcome to the Grad Connect, where we're using our career insights to help professionals find fulfillment. Today, I am joined by Alaina White. She is an all-around creative that enjoys capturing life's most pivotal moments in an authentic way. Let's dive into her journey as a creative navigating the corporate world. Enjoy. Alaina, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Obviously, we've already done these things. We're going to move past this.
All right.
So I really just want to, first of all, say, love your work. I think I've told you this before. You've had the pleasure of shooting me on one or two occasions. And it was a great experience. I've always just admired the way you create and like just seeing the way you put things together, like even with obviously with photo shoots, but even just like small things like looking at her timeline, I'm like, she's an artist. So I want to know all the good things. Obviously, where you are right now, first of all, let's start there. What are you doing?
Okay.
What does life look like? What does career look like?
Great question. Thanks for pointing out all those things. I've become a words of affirmation person over the last few years, so I appreciate all the words.
Okay.
But right now I'm a teacher.
Okay. We're teaching.
I am a fourth grade teacher at a school.
Which we know. Which we know because we worked together.
We literally worked
because life was whoop whoop whoop.
So
oh, you're teaching now. Good to know.
Yep. And so I think for me, what I am trying to do is I want students to be able to understand like their creativity and how it can be applied to their everyday life.
Okay.
I want the kids to, yes, be academically prepared, but in the event that academics won't always be there to save you, how is it that creativity can be the thing that you can fall back on to just kind of be that anchor for someone?
Okay. So that's really beautiful. And the fact that you have thought all of that through as part of being a teacher is amazing because if I was ever teaching, I would be thinking about 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and going home. But that's me, not you. So taking it all the way back because you didn't just pop out here as a whole photographer, creative, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
How did it begin? When did you first realize, like, okay, you know, I enjoy creating or I'm really good at it? When did you have that moment?
Great question. So honestly, I can think back to middle school.
Okay.
I just felt like I was a little bit different from everyone.
Okay.
My best friend Paige, you know Paige.
Mhm.
Paige and I were just trailblazers in a sense. Like we would come to school with our collars popped.
Trailblazer.
Kanye, please stop.
Okay, got it. Okay. Trailblazers got it. Young Kanye got it.
We were young, like
Okay, got it.
Kanye West.
Got it.
Have always loved music, and just I always wanted to express myself through different means, and so I never knew how to draw or anything like that. But I've always wanted to express myself outside of just typical means, and so I think once I got to college, it just became even in high school, I went to a charter school in Detroit and I just always remember feeling a little bit different. And so instead of trying to kind of bash myself for that, I was just like, just live into the difference, right? And so yeah, at that point, I just started to lean into things that I was very interested in. Like I said, I love music, I love color, I love fashion, I love being able to just, I don't know, latch on to things that are me. And so yeah, part of me finding who I was being able to understand this is me, this is what I like.
And did it make you feel like did it make you feel weird at all? Was it ever a negative feeling? Because you say you feel different. Did it make you feel isolated at points?
At different stages of the game, absolutely. But I tell my kids this right now, like there will be seasons where you may have to walk alone, and that's totally fine. I may not feel fine in the moment, but I don't know. We just have times and seasons that we all go through. And so yeah, there were times where I was just like, man, like nobody gets it. But I still just have to
Chugging
do
along.
it. Yeah.
Chugging along. Okay. So now, at what did that look like? Like, so as far as career outlook and stuff like that, like here you are in high school, college. College was a time. Yeah. We can talk about that. But how did that look in terms of picking? Did you ever pick, number one, of like what career path you wanted to pursue, and how did you, end up on, hey, I wanna do this full time. Like I wanna be a creative. How did you?
I love that you asked that because it's bringing me back to remembrance. So when I was in college, I did not know what I wanted to do at all. Like I had no idea. And so I remember I tried to. Why are you laughing at me?
Oh, Alaina, the time.
I just tried different
College was fun, wasn't it?
I tried things.
Okay.
I remember trying to do music. I remember, what else did I try?
You had an interest in dietetics for 5 seconds.
I did.
You did? Remember your health moment?
Oh,
That was a moment.
I literally prayed to be that person again. But no, I just was I didn't know what I wanted to do or anything. And I hate that because it feels like when you get to college, you're forced to
pick
figure it
something.
out. And it's just like, what if I literally cannot figure it out? So I picked communications, which is a very broad degree, communication studies. And I just had a lot of different classes about people communicating with each other and what that could look like on an organizational level, and interpersonal communication as well. So it was interesting, but I didn't know what it was for.
Yeah.
So, but I needed to get the paper.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
And a lot of people majored in communications and things like it. And I mean, I was pretty much in the same boat. That's the funny thing. But I think I just was like, just pick something and get out. That was my thought process. So I think I came to that realization like a little earlier on, like, okay, this is probably never going to be 100%. Yeah. And that was the hard part because so many people were 100%. Like, so many people were like, nursing.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna be an engineer, like just new. And I'm like, how do y'all just feel so sure? Like I definitely feel like I was in the same place of just like, I think so, I don't know, but let me just wrap this up.
It's hard to make yourself be something that may have not even been developed yet.
Yeah.
Like, what if my entire brain has not even developed what I wanted yet? And so it's kind of not fair when you think about it. And so that's why I don't bash myself for not coming up with, I would then learn that I was a creative, that I would love that. I'm not going to now bash myself and be like, oh, I didn't get into the graphic design program at WMU.
Yeah.
I didn't major in film studies. And it's just like, because I didn't know to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. And I have to give myself that same grace because there's definitely things that I know now and I wish I would have known then because I would have been way further along in life.
That's what we perceive to be, but not necessarily. We don't know what would have happened.
You're right. Okay. That's fair. Okay, so you were at Western, you picked communication studies. And so when you got into the workforce, what did you feel like? Because clearly you're working this job at Quicken Loans. Okay, so you were working at Quicken Loans. And knowing deep down, or not deep down, straight on the surface, like, this is not necessarily where I want to be. Was there tension? Like, how did you
go from A to
B?
So I actually loved working there.
Oh,
Like,
you did?
I loved it. I was just
Okay.
like, oh my gosh, like I love finding that I had a crazy work ethic. So I loved going to work, loved working with clients. I was in customer service, but it was called client relations to make it more relatable and not so buttoned up. And so I really enjoyed it. And I think that was when I started to discover, now that I think about just people facing all the time. Every job I've ever had has been people facing, which is interesting because I'm very introverted, but I just started to learn how to connect with people. And so I started to know that, oh, this is something I like to do. I love always being busy. Like I love that. I love when a job is just, yeah, like there's just a lot of things to do in one role. I actually really like that.
Makes sense why you can work at a school.
Yep. And so I think the tension came when I started to become extremely hungry to learn more about art. And at the time, I wanted to learn how to build people's brands. And so I ended up going to the College for Creative Studies for, I think I did like 2 years there. Just to learn more, like what is it that I'm so interested in? Why do I care about stories? Why do I care about color? Why do I care about the way that art expresses itself? So I was extremely interested in that, and that's when the tension came, and that's when I left that job to pursue school, art school.
Okay. So, how long was art school?
I think I was going for another undergrad degree, but I just did the 2 years.
Child, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
it was a
Another
lot.
undergrad degree? No,
Yeah,
ma'am.
and
No,
at that
ma'am.
point I had done it, so I'm like, we don't have to do this again. It's fine.
Why would you get another degree?
Actually, I don't know. I'm very adventurous.
You are.
Ambitious.
You are. So, but let me ask you this though. So, what you gained in the 2 years, how did it propel you further in your art? Because I think the thing is, like, as a creative myself, I think the common thing is like your art is so personal to you. So it almost makes you feel like you can't learn anything or like there's nothing new or like innovative that a program will show you. So what did CCS do for you?
Mm. You
You
want
need to sit
the
on it. You need to sit on it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that question, I would start to tell you how my entire life changed. So we'll be here for a minute.
Okay.
So the
So,
short
Spark
version,
Notes. Spark Notes,
the cliff notes are that, what's the question again?
What did CCS do for you, for your art? Who did it make you? Did it give you Alaina 2.0?
I think that it made me want to. This is how I like to compare it. I think about people who know how to dance really, really well. And I think about those people trying to learn ballet, right? If you don't pick up the perfect steps of being a ballet dancer, do you not know how to dance? And in the same way, I think about a trained ballet dancer trying to do a whole hip hop selection on the streets of 7 Mile. Like, are you going to be able to translate that training to real life experiences and real life grit that you gain from living?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that experience showed me that I needed to know what my story and my voice was before trying to put these confinements over them, if that makes sense. And so instead of leaning into being trained in this very restrictive professional way, could you just come from out of that and learn what your voice is and what your story is? So
So what did that now look like coming out of CCS and understanding like, okay, I need to hone my gift first? Where did that leave you as an artist?
So ironically enough, that still led me to trying to perform. Right. I was still trying to work. At that point, I also needed money. So at that point, that's that's
Because
money.
one thing you can never neglect is the need for a coin.
Yeah, no, we can. So I freelanced for a minute, a while after that. And I was just working to perform, but still not taking that time that I needed for myself to reflect and understand what is it exactly that I'm trying to produce. So I probably just did the same thing over. It just looked different.
You mean as far as freelancing?
Yeah, I think I was still trying to not listen to myself. And I think I was still just trying to do instead of sit and allow my story to be created.
So yourself, when you say you didn't listen to yourself was saying, Alaina, stop. Work on your stuff.
Now that I look back, it's like, yeah, I needed to take a break. I probably should have taken a break. Yeah, probably should have taken a break. But
you gotta keep it rolling.
that's right. And I was just doing what I thought to do at the time. So there's that saying, do the best you can with the information you have. So that's what I was doing. And so I would say maybe that's where I am now. So I freelanced for a little bit, and right after that point, I needed to know what I was going to get paid every 2 weeks. And so, for the sake of my mental health and just wanting to have some form of expectation, instead of things going up and down, I just wanted to know what was going to happen next. I wanted to know what I was going to get paid, and I wanted to have benefits and insurance.
So then let me ask you this, because you very lightly said, oh, I was freelancing. And my thing is like, you don't just wake up and freelance. So if I decide today, you know what, I think I'm that girl when it comes to, photography or I mean painting or rap, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't just be like, I'm a freelance. So you left the job, a comfortable job, and went to school.
I did.
And then when you left that school, you started freelancing. So where was the money? Is the question. And how did it come about? Because the world still has to move, whether you pursue it that hard or not. How would I do that? How do you embark upon that journey?
I was freelancing.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you had clients. People knew of your work.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's awesome.
I was able to have clients on retainer. I was able to, word of mouth travels, and you get enough work that you can provide for yourself for whatever that looked like. But I was able to sustain, and it was difficult, but I did put my mind to it. It was very hard. Very hard. But yeah.
Was it a conscious decision to not work at the time? So obviously you left your job and went to school, but when you were having those difficult moments, did you feel something like, girl, go apply? Or were you applying? Or was it like a very, I'm not working because I'm going to freelance?
Yeah, I think I was very sold on the fact of this is what I want to do.
Okay.
And so I really wanted to create a path for myself. And so, and I'm an all or nothing person. So like whatever it is that I believe in, like I'm just going to go all the way in it. And so, like I did work little jobs here and there. I was thinking about that today. I was working at Baywell while I was at school. I would pick up jobs here and there, coffee shops. But for the most part, I wanted my photography to be my main source.
And so here we are in 2024. You're still doing photography.
No, not necessarily.
Pause. Breaking news.
Right, because that's
Because
what
you
I
definitely
talked
took my
about.
photos, Alaina.
I
So
know,
what is
but
it? So what's really going on?
yeah, no, I mean, we just talked about the whole sitting down aspect.
Okay, so you're in the sit down season.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before you sat down, somehow, some way, we made our way into teacher land.
Right. As I was sitting down.
Okay.
Yes. So remember how I said freelancing got it just for my mental health it just was not working for me anymore. I needed to know. I needed to have some form of this is what's going to come next. And I was tired of living on a whim where you have so much money this day and then the next you don't. Or what client can I book next? What can I do next? Like it was a constant rat race. And I'm not that kind of person. Like I'm very, very chill, very relaxed. I'm very like calm. And so I did not like how that felt. Um, and so yeah, I just started to be curious about what it would look like to work at a school. During the pandemic, I worked at a school for like 5 days. Like I promise it was like 5 days, and then I got COVID.
Yikes.
Yeah, was that the first time I did it? Yeah.
Can't be
Yeah.
with the babies, with the bed.
Yeah, so that was just like a little foretaste, and then I moved to the east side of Detroit. And there was this school that was across the street from my house. And I was like, let's actually try this out this time. And so I applied, and then I was like, wait, I have a degree. Like, let's actually use your degree. And so I applied to work as a registrar, which basically means enrollment. It means registering kids. And so applied, got the position, started working at the school, started to develop relationships with students and their families, their parents. And it just got to a point where I was like, wow, like I love this. And I wanted to do more for the students. And so I went upstairs and got to the classroom.
Look at the rainbow story. We love that. A full circle. Here's what I want to know. So in all of that, first of all, pause. Let's bring it back to two things. How are you able to find contentment, happiness, or I guess I'll say allow happiness in doing this new thing, teaching, when your first love or your primary love was creating? How are you okay? Because I think like for me, every second that I spend not doing the thing, which I think is the thing, I'm like, I'm losing time, losing time, losing time.
Yeah.
So how are you? Because you love teaching, and I can tell you that from being sitting right next to you for however long I sat next to you when we worked together. Like you love it, and it's like you opened up another side of your identity by being in the school atmosphere. So how are you able to allow that and have contentment, knowing that there's this other dream that you're also working on?
You know, that is a great question. Because it's been something that I've been trying to give language to. And so the answer to your question would be I had to be okay with not, like you said, identifying with, right? Not placing the totality of my entire identity on just this one thing. I think as I'm getting older, I'm not old, but I'm no longer
You're
young.
not the young whippersnapper.
I'm no longer young.
You are not the youth anymore. It is true.
Getting older has shown me the truth behind being multifaceted and being complex. Like we are just human beings are so complex, man. And so to try to identify as just one thing, like I think for me, it just feels a little bit restricted. So I think I just got to a point where I was just like, well, I can also be an artist because I am one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
so,
it's your identity already. It's not something you
yeah,
have to consistently prove to yourself.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I can embrace a different career path. I can embrace whatever comes my way and be confident in the fact that who I am is who I am. So I'll always be an artist and I always care about creativity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm just in a different spot right now where my story is continuing to be refined.
Mm-hmm.
But also I see that there are other things that are needed. Right? There are kids who need us. And so for me, I'm just kind of that's where my mind is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So, wow, it was a lot.
You know.
And the funny thing is, you said these things to me a million times, and every time I hear it again, I'm like, child, Lena something special because me, I'll be like, no, I must. So I mean, like, even for you to say like the kids need us, that takes like a level of like sacrifice or like just like willingness to just kind of like go where life takes you. And I feel like I feel like that's really like the way you live and the way you address like, many, many things in life. Um, and where does that come from? Like, I guess just like ease to just say like, I'm gonna be okay.
Well, I mean, I'm a very faith-filled person. I believe that God is real.
Amen. And he is.
And
Turns out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so with that, I'll say that I pretty much made a vow to myself that I would follow wherever God took me.
Mm.
I did not want a life that I created with my own two hands because I just kind of think that's kind of
Mm.
a little boring. And on top of the fact that if you believe that God has a specific plan for your life, why not just follow that plan? Especially if it's going to lead you to good things, it's going to glorify God in the long run. So I've chosen to do that. And so
Mhm.
I would say that my life probably won't be as maybe as calculated as others would think that it will be. My life may not be 1 plus 1 equals 2
Mhm.
at any stage of the game. It could be 5 plus 5 equals 37 at times. So what does that mean? I just mean that I'm following the plan of God from my understanding. And so that will lead me to places I would have never dreamed. I would have never ever dreamed that I would have been working with children.
Yeah.
Like, no, like I would have never known that I would have worked at a school. This was not a part of my plan.
Yeah.
So not sure what your question was at this point,
I
but
think you pretty much hit it on the head. I was just asking like how you get to that level of contentment, which I think you kind of answered with this question and the last. But I think it makes total sense and it all goes back to that identity piece.
Mhm.
When I think about it, it's like if you are okay with who you are, then why does it matter what you do?
Mhm.
And I think the problem is hinging your whole you okay? You need a minute.
That was
um
good.
I think the problem is hinging your identity in the things that you do. And that's something that I've really had to unlearn.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is the more I unlearn that, I feel like the more my path actually aligns. And
Mhm.
when you talk about being a teacher and now, well, I want to teach the kids how to create, it's like it's in your fiber, like it's in your being. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's always going to seep through
That's right.
into everything that you're doing, and I think that's really beautiful. Um, um, but now the question is, do you still feel, or I guess, what does now goal setting look like? So, because you're still a creative, right? And yes, God has called you to teaching at the moment, and God bless you for that. Um, what does it look like though? Do we still have a vision board or are we just vibes and Jesus? Like, what does it mean? Can we still write goals? What was 2034 supposed to be? Like,
You're so funny.
I mean,
that is hilarious.
These are real questions. Like,
that need answers.
That need answers.
I'll add that. So I'm laughing because vibes and Jesus hilarious.
But it's real.
It is so real.
This is how we live.
I have been vibing out with Jesus. So, and to that point, Alaina needs structure. Like, so I'm I also am a free bird.
Okay. So it's a lot going on. Like, yeah, very complex.
Yeah.
She's free, she's structured.
Yes.
Okay.
I need structure. So it's funny. Right now, I'm like, Alaina, you need to I get locked into work. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to myself, sometimes I can just kind of fall to the side. Do I need lists for myself? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Do I need to sit down and think about what's next? Probably. You know, maybe within the next, 5 years, whatever. You know, I definitely need to be implementing those kinds of structured brainstorm sessions with myself. But I think we need everything. I think we need freedom to be at times. I think that there are also times where we need a little bit more structure. So it just all depends on where you want to go and what you want to see for yourself. You'll know, you'll be able to tell this is what I need now, this is what I need later, whatever. You'll be able to tell.
Okay. So last question.
Okay.
For now, I have a few more, but we're going to wrap it up. Okay. For now, we're going to put what do you call those things?
A pin in it.
A pin. We're going to come back to it. Do you feel like right now, if you take a snapshot of your life right now and you could travel back, let's say you were 22-year-old Alaina again, just fresh out of college, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and somebody flashed you a picture of what your life looked like right now, how would you feel, and would you be okay with it? Next question. Like, okay, if you were to see your 22-year-old self, would you be able to tell her like it gets better? It's okay. That's what I'm trying to get at. Basically, when you're thrust into the world as a fresh grad, it's like, all right, figure it out. And do you think right now you have figured it out or you're on the path to figuring it out? Or is there anything to figure out?
So I think as you're asking this, for some reason, it feels like a lie to have to have everything figured out. Could that possibly be something that we should be reaching for? Should that be the goal? And if it wasn't the goal, would a lot of us feel better? If that was never even something to attain, why do we have to have it figured out? What is it?
And can it be evolving?
That's right.
Or like ever changing.
And that's what I'm saying. So if I've talked about being complex beings, if I've talked about being multifaceted, if I've talked about paths not necessarily being linear, is there a peak?
Yeah.
And so I would say that wherever that language is coming from to have things figured out or have it figured out, I think we probably need to do away with that. I think we need to be latching on to something else. We probably need to be latching on to truth. Am I doing the best with what I have right now?
Yeah.
Am I taking the proper steps?
An offering plate.
We do. it. Send it. Are we taking the proper next steps to get to wherever next is, right? There shouldn't be one, there's not one answer for all of us because God made us to be all different, you know? So would I tell my younger self that I have figured it out? Absolutely not. Because I'm not figuring this out.
Yeah.
Like I'm just walking what's in front of me. And that's what faith is. It's just taking one step at a time, walking by faith, right? Say, and so
Hey,
That's all.
here we are. Okay. And on that note,
That's
we would
beautiful.
like to thank you,
That's
Alaina,
beautiful.
for
Yes.
thank you so much, Alaina, for being here.
Yeah.
I'm going to link in the comments a few of the things that Alaina mentioned that helped her along the way. You know, and hopefully you took something from this interview. I know that you did. And we will be back with more.
We will.
Remember this? There you go.